You got a marriage on the rocks and it's starting to suck. You got some intimacy issues and your sex life stuck. Put yourself in the hands of Mrs. Jessica Weeks. She's got all the marriage hacks, tips, tricks, and tweaks. She's bringing truth about marriage, laying myths to rest. Taking on the hard topics no one else will address. Put your earbuds in and listen up real close. Be here every single week and make sure you take notes. For some expert advice way beyond common sense. Take your everyday marriage to a marriage of confidence.
You're listening to the Confident Marriage Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica.
And I'm your host, Sean.
The no fluff, straightforward, real talk, real world experience, and practical solutions. Sean and I talk about what no one else will.
And we're funny, too.
Haha.
Are we? That
Sometimes.
was pretty deadpan when I did that. Ready for it? Everything for your family and relationships, from the playroom to the bedroom. We're the show that has couples talking. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode where we will definitely give you something else to talk about.
Yes, we will. And before we get to our topic, don't forget to rate the podcast. If you're new to the show, welcome. We're glad you're here. We hope you enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Sean and I are a husband-wife team. We have been through some of the most treacherous waters in marriage that you could possibly think of.
Not just treacherous, there were sharks in those waters.
Great whales.
Octopuses.
Don't mind my husband's tentacles.
What?
We are here to bring you support and helpful tips and tricks for your marriage, whether you're going through some major challenges in your marriage, such as betrayal trauma, porn addiction, infidelity, lies, alcohol addiction, alcoholism. Yes, we have been through all of that.
All of it. Drug abuse, you name it.
You name it. We have been there, done that. All the way to things as simple, and I hate to say simple because they're not always so simple, as communication problems, intimacy, connection problems. We are really your all-around
parenting
husband and wife team that really just want to reach out to marriages and help them succeed, because we know it can be done even in those worst of times.
Yeah, everything we talk about here comes from our real world experience, and we went through all of that research, practical experience, trial and error, so that we can bring you what we've found that works in our little brand of what will get you through it. Mm-hmm.
We do coaching. Well, we call it our mentoring. Our mentor program. And I am in college for my licensed marriage and family therapy degree. So
and if you need a parking structure built, I'm a carpenter.
Sean is a construction concrete formwork carpenter. Mm-hmm. So
comes in real handy in the marriage help industry here.
And we have two beautiful children. So
we do. We
have a 15-year-old daughter who is sassy and fun, and we have a very high energy 5-year-old boy who is hating being home from COVID.
I'm going to pull out a word that isn't used very often. He's rambunctious.
Oh, he is. That might even be underdoing it a little bit for him. So don't forget to rate the podcast. As I said earlier, we love those reviews.
Yes.
You have no idea how much it means to us. You might be picked to be read on the show. So definitely rate it, and you just might get a shout out from us.
Don't forget to visit our website. That's www.theconfidentmarriage.com. And that's kind of our hub for everything that is The Confident Marriage. We have our weekly articles and a little bit of story background about us. And we have all our episodes, just everything that's Confident Marriage, our mentorship program, everything Confident Marriage related is on the website, www.theconfidentmarriage.com.
Well, for the mentorship program, you got to go to contact us and send us a little email that you would like to learn more about the mentorship program.
I think we have a few spots opening up.
We do.
Because we only do a couple at a time.
Yep, and we're getting ready to graduate a couple, so we will have some availability.
So, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter while you're there, and with that you'll get exclusive content, news, our weekly columns. You get early access to our weekly columns and early access to our latest episodes. So you get it a couple days before everyone else, so you can have a better marriage before anybody else.
Now, we do not believe in competition here on the show.
Or comparing, yes.
Yes, that too.
See the episode about toxic behaviors?
Mm-hmm. You can also find us on all social media platforms. So our biggest is Instagram. We're at Confident Marriage. I am always on there. We are also on Facebook at Confident Marriage and Twitter, The C Marriage Show. So hop on to whatever platform it is you use. If you use them all, then follow us on all of them. And we'd love to interact with you there.
Yep, you can pin us on Pinterest.
Yes, we are on Pinterest. Again, I think people are getting tired of hearing about you talk about Pinterest.
Sorry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So last week we had Joshua Shea on the show for the pornography addiction, betrayal trauma.
Friend of the show and resident porn addiction expert.
Yes. So I hope you guys got to listen to that. If you haven't, go back and listen to it. That's our second episode on pornography. We have one that we did last year, or I believe the year before that, called Pornography in Your Brain.
Early in the first season, episode 4, I believe.
And that one goes into a lot of detail about what happens to the brain, what happens to the marriage and the relationship. So definitely check out both of those if you've struggled with pornography.
Right, it wasn't as good because I wasn't on the show then.
Yes, so there was a period where I was doing the podcast by myself, and so Sean joined in.
I was there. I was behind the scenes at that point.
You know, one of the most common questions we get when we get interviewed?
Why do you have that idiot on the show?
No,
with you?
You're not an idiot. Maybe a little bit. No, they ask who did the song, the intro song for your show. And they're always shocked to learn that you...
Jay-Z did it?
I wish.
What is that supposed to mean?
No, because it'd be cool to have Jay-Z.
Jay-Z ain't got nothing on me.
Oh my God.
I'm completely kidding. He's got everything on me.
Yeah. What? Well, anyways.
I don't even know where you were.
Sean wrote that intro and rapped it and found the music for it.
Mm-hmm. There goes our Pinterest.
Yeah.
Or something.
Turn my sounds off.
My goodness.
So.
I didn't turn my sound off, but no one ever calls me, so we're safe.
Would you like me to pause the show and call you so you feel like someone called you?
No, I'd rather just complain about it and play the victim.
Oh.
That's one of my toxic behaviors.
It is.
It is.
You've gotten a lot better on that, though.
I hope so.
So this week we have a super interesting topic. What's our topic this week, Sean?
This week we're going to be asking the question, are my thoughts normal? Mm-hmm. The answer is no.
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 Sorry. Okay. End of show.
End of show. We'll see you next week.
No, but I think...
The answer is yes. Your thoughts are normal no matter how weird they are, and we're going to go into detail about that.
We are. And it's probably not what you think. So the agenda for the show is we're going to be talking about those thoughts that we have about our spouse, that sometimes we wonder if everybody has them, or maybe we even think that we're the only ones.
Yeah, I think we assume that maybe we're the only ones, and it's crazy that we're having them.
Mm-hmm. We're going to dive into the idea of other marriages, looking at other marriages. So we kind of talked about comparing our marriage and our spouse to other people and other people's marriages in a previous episode. But this week we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it, because what I hear so often is the idea that a marriage should be a certain way, or that a marriage is supposed to be XYZ. And so we're going to talk about the thoughts that we have, the ideas that we have about what a marriage should be like. And all too often, these are brought on by our society, our culture, and just what we kind of see around us, what we read, magazines, articles, what have you. Our ideas are formed in all these different ways. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail about, well, what is normal in a marriage, and what are normal thoughts, and when should you be concerned when you're having thoughts about your spouse or marriage that might be along the lines of thinking that you're the only one who has them, or maybe that there's something wrong with you for having them, or there's something wrong with your marriage for having them. I'm going to start with some of the more common things that occur in our heads when we're married, that I don't think we tell our spouse that we think very often.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these thoughts are things that are very common and that happen to almost every couple, and
it's usually in that period after the honeymoon phase that these thoughts kind of start to creep in, I think. And probably we're not telling our spouse we're having these thoughts because we think it's weird. We don't think it's normal. We don't want them to know we're feeling that way. And we don't know that it is normal to have these thoughts.
It is.
So what are some of these thoughts we're talking about?
These are thoughts of, did I marry the wrong person?
Mm-hmm.
Did I grow out of my marriage? Did we grow away from each other?
Did I get married too soon? Should I have held out for someone better?
Is there someone better for me? Could I have a better marriage with someone else? Mm-hmm. Are we coming to a place where we're going to separate and divorce? And could I have a better life outside of my marriage?
So all this kind of centers around questioning whether you made the wrong decision to get married or made the wrong decision about who you married. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of coming from a false assumption that there's always going to be something better out there.
Mm-hmm. It's the grass might be greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm. But what do we know about that grass?
I think everybody knows.
It's greener where you water it.
Where you water it.
Yeah.
But we all know that, and yet we have these thoughts. And sometimes these thoughts, they're very fleeting. Sometimes we don't really give them much attention, and we just kind of wonder it for a brief moment and then let it go. And sometimes these thoughts can really sink in and really make us question our whole marriage, our whole reality. And it's dangerous.
It is. And I think we're not quick to share these thoughts with our spouse because we're scared of their reaction and we're feeling weird for having them. And
we don't want to hurt them.
No, but what ends up happening sometimes is maybe they sit back there and then you end up in a fight with your spouse, and then maybe this thought gets blurted out at them in a moment of anger, and then it's like, what the heck is going on? You're thinking what?
Or we are not being aware of why we're having these thoughts, or that they're normal thoughts, and so we're using those arguments or those disagreements or those challenging times in our marriage to reaffirm what we're thinking and believing. Mm-hmm. And it really does. It's one of the reasons that people are led to emotional and physical affairs too, is because they're not quite ready to give up on their marriage. And it has a lot to do with that they know that they're probably wrong, but they just kind of want to see before they make that decision, or, just kind of get a feel for life outside the marriage. And I think we take ourselves too seriously. We take our thoughts
too seriously.
We take our thoughts way too seriously.
And I like what we did an interview that's going to be on a podcast coming up with a mindfulness expert. And I loved what he said, that your thoughts are just your thoughts, and they kind of come in and you can let them just kind of pass through you because they're just your thoughts.
Right.
And they're not true in the sense that they don't define you or who you are or what's actually going to happen. They're just your thoughts.
Now, this isn't to say that we should ignore these thoughts.
Right.
Because if we're having them, there's a reason why we're having them, especially if they're not the quick, fleeting, normal human thoughts. Like, you meet some, very handsome, well put together man at, the coffee shop, and you're just kind of smitten by him, and you're like, I wonder what it'd be like to have married him. And then you're going about your way and completely forgetting about it the rest of the day. It's just a moment of fleeting wonder. Those are all normal human behaviors.
I know I have those thoughts when I see a big dreamy man at the coffee shop.
Oh, goodness. But when we're thinking about that often, when that's happening a lot for the husband or the wife, when we really are starting to feel resentful or angry, or it's starting to infiltrate into our marriage, we need to wonder and start to figure out why we're having these thoughts. Mm-hmm. Because now we're going past the point of it just being normal thoughts that we just kind of have fleeting. And there's something going on inside of us, inside our marriage, or between you and your spouse, that is causing this discomfort in the marriage that makes you wonder what else is out there. Did you make a bad choice? I don't think too many people want to admit that they have these thoughts. And so I don't see it talked about, and I don't see people bringing it up to one another. And I don't see husbands and wives really talking about it much. And there's a lot of fear involved in, and hurt and sadness in saying that, you at times wonder what it would be like with someone else, or if you married the right person, or if there's possibly a better life for you somewhere else, even if you're not taking it seriously, and especially when you do take it seriously.
Well, no, it's not something that gets talked about, and nobody wants to hear that their spouse is feeling that way.
I know that you and I know firsthand what that feels like. When you and I were coming to the other side of our mess after all that we had been through, we've talked about it on the podcasts before, but there was a lot of betrayal trauma between Sean and I. And we were learning how to be open and honest with each other. And there was a time that you told me that sometimes you wonder what it would be like to be with someone who understood love the way that you knew how to give it. And I know that that was really hurtful, because it made me wonder, and it made me feel, and it made me think that I wasn't a good match for you, and that maybe even you wanted something easier, something that you didn't have to put so much effort and work into or figure out. And that really made me feel as if I wouldn't ever be good enough. And I know that those kinds of discussions can be really difficult in a marriage.
Right, and I had trouble in that understanding why you felt that way, because for me it was just a curiosity, but now I see how that could be hurtful, and I know you've expressed it, especially when we were going through it many times, that there was someone else better for you, and that you wonder what it would be like to be with someone who was, naturally as honest as you are and wore their heart on their sleeve like you. And of course that hurt me. But I think that's a dangerous trap to fall into, because as we talk about also, each person has his or her own flaws. And while they may seem, for all outward appearances, to be this great person or exactly what we're looking for, when we get into the nitty gritty of actually being in a relationship with them, we have no idea what we might be getting into. And, there's that old saying, the devil that you know, so.
I saw something the other day that made my blood boil. And I'm not going to say where I saw it or who said it.
We'll talk about it after the show, because I want to know where you saw it and who said it.
But it said, be with someone that doesn't make you think love is hard. And I thought, it is stuff like this that people see and think, maybe my marriage isn't normal. If people say these things, if people say that this is how their life is or how it could be, maybe I'm with the wrong person. Maybe I should be with someone that doesn't make love hard. Good luck.
Yeah, if you ever find that relationship, please call us and let us know, because we want to do a whole 4-part series about it, because it really doesn't exist.
It doesn't. And that doesn't mean that, so that doesn't mean that everything about love is difficult, right? It is easy to love your spouse, especially when times are really good, right? And of course, that love never really goes away, even when you think you've fallen out of love with your spouse. And I'm not saying that every step of your marriage and your love is difficult, but no matter how amazing you are for each other, no matter how well you guys click together, and no matter how amazing your marriage is, there's going to be trials and tribulations throughout your marriage at some point or another. And there are times, and it is true for every single marriage, there are times that love is going to be hard. And there are times, unfortunately, that love is going to be hurtful. Does that mean that everybody experiences infidelity or betrayal trauma or something severe? No. I mean, it could just be hurtful that your spouse just completely snapped at you after you spent all day getting a beautiful dinner together for them or something. I mean, we are people. We're going to hurt one another. That is impossible to not do.
Yeah, let me just shatter everybody's world real quick. Marriage is hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I'm sorry. It can be easy, but you're probably not having a healthy marriage or a fulfilling marriage if it's easy.
Right.
Of course, it's like you said, it's going to be easy to love your spouse sometimes, but there are going to be times when it's hard. And unless the two of you are perfect people going into the marriage, It's going to take work. And it reminds me of what they used to say in the program referring to NA, and it's that this is simple, but it's not easy. You can't mistake being simple for being easy. Well, you can't mistake having a good marriage for that it's easy.
Right.
The things that are the most rewarding in life take a lot of work. Look at having children, one of the most rewarding things I've done, and how much work is it to raise those children? How much physical work was it for you to bear that child? Mm-hmm. You know, and how much pain did you have to go through having the child to get to the rewarding stuff? And, you know, we experience that in marriage and in my work. It's very rewarding and I love my job, but God, it's hard work.
Mm-hmm. Marriage is a lot of work, and it really frustrates me. And like I said, it boils my blood when people say things that sound so great and make us second guess what we're doing every day, instead of encouraging us to stick it out, to love who we're with, to work on ourselves, to work on our marriage. It's really frustrating for me, because it's stuff like that gives people the illusion that there's something wrong with them or their marriage or their spouse. And that is exactly the kinds of things that lead us to believe that maybe we're in the wrong place.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at what kind of message that's sending. If marriage is hard, and pretty much everybody that's in a marriage is struggling at one point or another, and you're telling them that if maybe they should go find someone that's easy to love, then what message is that really sending to people? Give up and go look for the next good thing, the next best thing that is going to seem good for a little while, and then you're going to be right back into the same boat.
That's exactly my point here. So I don't want you guys to...
That's a fluffy statement, what they did.
It is a very fluffy statement.
We don't like fluffy statements.
No.
We like fluffy bunnies.
Fluffy bunnies are very cute. So I don't want you guys to think that when you have those thoughts that that's a cue that you need to do something different, like switch your spouse or
it's a cue
look for something else. It is a cue
to do something different, but not to give up and look for something better per se.
It's to look at what might be going on in your marriage that you can work on. And one of the things that Sean said the other day, and is very, very true, is that Sean and I made a huge mistake when we were trying to repair our marriage, when we were trying to improve things.
Yes. So what I said was, we tried to fix each other, like we tried to fix the other person, and that didn't work. And we tried to fix the marriage, and that didn't work. What we needed to do was fix ourselves, and then everything started to work out.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people go into marriage therapy, or they go to look for marriage help, like our podcasts or blogs or books or what have you, and they're looking to repair their marriage. And I think that a lot of us, and I know I did it at one time, you did it at one time, and I know almost each and every one of us go into the marriage repair, whether it's minor or severe, looking for a solution for the marriage, looking for a way to fix the marriage. There is a fundamental, crucial problem with that whole statement, with that whole idea, with that whole thought. A marriage is a word, a way to describe your devotion, your being. You cannot fix something that is not tangible. Right? It is tangible because it only exists between you and another human being. So when you're looking to fix the marriage, what are you really looking to do? You're looking to fix that person. You really need to be looking to fix yourself.
And hopefully your partner will be looking to fix themselves also.
Yes.
And in that, the marriage will improve. It's made up of the sum of two parts. And the two parts add together to make something greater than the sum of those two parts, but it's still fundamentally made up of you and your spouse, and you need to fix the two parts to fix the whole.
Right. You can't fix a marriage because a marriage is two people. When those thoughts come up, even if, and I know all too well what this is like, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I want to give this as an example.
You are perfect.
Oh, I wish. Even when it is your spouse, that is really the challenge in that moment, in that time, right? So Sean was doing a lot of things at the beginning of our marriage that was really, really hurtful, really, really challenging. And we could have had an amazing marriage from the beginning had these things not been taking place. And yes, we would have had some things to work on. I would have had some things to work on. He would have had some things to work on, because that is a never-ending task until the day you die. But my point here is that Sean was the one who was creating the problems in the marriage. Sean was the one who was the challenge at the time. However, regardless of that, focusing on myself, focusing on my side of the street, keeping to making myself healthy was the only thing I could do in those moments. And instead of blaming him and pointing the fingers and trying to change him and forcing him to change, as I tried to do, never worked. It wasn't until I turned it around and I started working on me. So how does this relate to the thoughts that we have? Well, in those times I was thinking, I made a mistake. I deserve better, and I did deserve better. I do deserve better than that. I could have a better marriage. I could have a better relationship. I had those thoughts continuously, day in, day out, and I was going through trauma. Instead, I decided to change the way that I was looking at my relationship and my marriage and realize that I'm not the only one who's gone through this. So many couples go through this stuff, and so much worse and not as bad. Why are they still together? If they could have done better, if the relationship could have been better, but they stuck it out, why? Obviously, I'm not the only one who's thinking and feeling this way, especially in those challenging times. My response became, I believe in you. I believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself, and I believe in me, even though I don't believe in myself right now. That's essentially what it comes down to. Looking at what's going on within you and not putting the focus on your spouse. Understanding and realizing that those thoughts and those feelings are normal, but you don't act on them. And it's when you realize that you're not the only one who thinks that way. You're not the only one who feels that way. And you start focusing on the great things of your marriage and the great things about your spouse and the great things about you, and you start looking to improve yourself, you'll find that those thoughts, they become less and less. And you don't give it much attention, and you don't take them so seriously, because they're just thoughts.
Mm-hmm. You let them pass right through.
Right. We've got to stop entertaining those thoughts. We got to stop giving in to them.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, realize they're normal, and you're probably going to have them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're, like we just said, they're just thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think along the same lines of what we were just talking about, I think another common thought that people might not realize is common or might not think is normal in a marriage is the comparison of, I wish our marriage was more like so-and-so's. I wish my wife was more like so-and-so's husband or so-and-so's wife.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's human nature to compare, especially when things aren't going so great in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to see something that on the surface looks good, or someone that possesses the qualities we wish our spouse possessed, and you kind of fall into that trap of comparing, when in reality you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors, what that person's like. They very well may be an amazing person, but chances are, like most marriages, they've got their own issues.
Yeah, I just so often, we really see people on a superficial surface level, right? Even our friends, our family. Nobody, airs all their dirty laundry to you. You don't go to a family dinner and everybody's talking about their marriage problems. And so everybody kind of just feels like...
We do that.
No, we don't.
We do it on a international podcast.
That is different. We're trying to help people. But the point is that, we don't see all the nitty gritty. We don't see all the dirty of other relationships. And so because it's not something we commonly see, we think that we're the only ones experiencing those kinds of things. And even though, we'll read about it online or we'll read about it in books, and we know that people have relationship problems, I think innately we kind of think that most people have a really good relationship. And they don't struggle with the same things we do, yet we know that they do. It's a weird balance, but I think that we just kind of see all these relationships and why can't we be more like that? Or why can't our marriage be more like that? And, the movies and TV shows and magazines. I think everything really just portrays this beautification of marriages and doesn't really talk about the nitty gritty enough. And so I think we unconsciously, even though we know that's not true, I think we unconsciously kind of let that sink in. Like that thing that I said that I saw the other day about marriage should never be hard, or be married to someone who doesn't make love hard, or something like that.
Right.
I think that that's just the commonality. And so it gives us this false idea that there's something wrong with our marriage.
And I'll go back to the same analogy that we talked about earlier. Sitting there looking at someone else's lawn going, boy, that grass looks so beautiful. It's so green. I wish my grass was like that. And then someone walks by and says, dude, why don't you put a little fertilizer and water on your own lawn? Mm-hmm. Maybe it would look like that.
Exactly.
You married who you married. And you married them for a reason. And if you got married to them thinking you were going to change them into who you want them to be, then I got bad news. You married them for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. Now, we marry someone because we love them and we love who they are, and we want to share a life with them. And part of that life is growing together and continually striving to be better for each other and better for yourselves. But if you're thinking you're going to get into it to change someone into who you want them to be, who your perceived perfect spouse is, that's codependent behavior.
It is.
And it's not going to get you what you think. And if you're holding out waiting for that perfect spouse that fulfills your entire dream list of what you want them to be, get ready to be old and alone, because that person doesn't actually exist.
No.
And if they do, chances are you're not going to meet them.
One of the most incredible things I've ever done that completely shifted my whole approach to our marriage and to understanding marriage was acceptance. Mm-hmm. Accepting that you are going to be and should be different than me, and embracing that difference even when I don't like it. Sometimes Sean has the habit of being a little bit of a procrastinator.
No.
And it drives me.
Can we talk about that later?
It drives me crazy. But as much as it drives me just completely batshit crazy, like I want to run up the walls and scream, it forces me to slow down. It forces me to just kind of chill for a minute and not take myself so seriously, not always be in such a rush to get stuff done. Acceptance really was key. Accepting that my spouse was different than me, and then embracing it, even the things that I didn't like. If you could come to a place where you can accept that they're going to be different, love them for who they are, and embrace it, it really does change the whole dynamic of your marriage.
How terrible would the world be if everyone was like me?
Time would go by very, very slowly.
Everybody would just chill.
Yes.
Look, I get stuff done. Sometimes I may overplan or take a little too much time planning it in the preparation, but boy, I'm prepared for it when I finally do it.
Well, and that's an aspect about you that I love. But this is how the things that you find frustrating about me and the things that I find frustrating about you end up complementing one another, even though they drive us crazy. So I'm a go, go, go kind of person.
Yeah, so sometimes she'll just jump in and start doing something, and I'm like freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, we need to sit down and have some planning meetings about this, and then we need to set everything out that we need in a certain order that's easiest to pick up and use, and half the day we got to plan this out. And sometimes I just need to jump in and do it.
Yeah.
And so while I get her to slow down when she needs it, she gets me to jump in and do it when I need it, and we find a happy medium there that complements both of us.
Yes. But both
and
those
pushes both of us.
It does. And both those traits about one another drive each other crazy. He can't stand that I'm a go, 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 and I can't stand that he's a slow, slow, slow.
I like that. But I'm crying on the inside.
Oh. So while those are the things that Sean and I struggle with, but end up making us a stronger couple for, everybody is different. And so one person's relationship is not going to look like yours. And what works for someone else's relationship isn't going to work for yours. So try really, really hard to just look at what is working in your relationship and look at what you could do on your end to improve it. Find that acceptance. Find the acceptance of yourself, find the acceptance of your spouse, and find the beauty and love in your imperfect marriage.
Yes, I've accepted the fact that you're never going to be like me, and it's your loss. I'm totally kidding.
I hope so.
So what about when you get married and you go through that honeymoon phase and you can't get enough of your partner and you want to be around them 24/7 and you think they're the most amazing person in the world and they can do no wrong and everything is great and unicorns and hearts and rainbows, and then one day you find yourself having the thought of, God, I really can't stand being around them right now, or oh, I really hate that thing that they do, or boy, they really hurt me today. And then you start thinking, maybe this isn't the person I want to spend my life with. If I loved them and wanted to spend my life with them, shouldn't I be happy with them all the time?
Yeah. Or you have those moments where you just don't want to be around them. You want more space. You find yourself spending more time out of the home or doing things away from them because you just kind of want that distance. You're annoyed on an ongoing basis.
Why do you look at me so seriously when you say that?
Cat got my tongue.
Oh my God. Now, you might be thinking that it's not normal to be having thoughts like that about your spouse.
Well, if I love them, I would want to be with them all the time.
Right, but here's a news flash. You're not going to want to be around them all the time.
No. I think we try to chase that beginning relationship feel.
So it's like a drug addiction.
I guess. I really do. I think that we always want to go back. Of course we want to go back to the beginning of a relationship because it's always so new and fresh and exciting, and we can't break away from them, and we just want to be around them all the time. And I think we always want to chase that down and have that again. But I think that's where we lose sight of the beauty of a long-term relationship, of the time and the commitment and the growth and the deepening of the love. Because yes, the love felt a lot different in the beginning than it does after you've had quite a few years together. But I think that if we really look at it, it's a much deeper, more pure, more genuine love than in the beginning. The beginning is more like a lust kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's something that you ask me from time to time is, do you love me the same as when we first met? Well, no. Well, is it better? Yeah. It's
Kinda.
no, kind of. It's deeper. It's much more connected. It's much more lifelong, where in the beginning it was new, it was fresh, it was exciting. It was, there was some lust going on, but it's deepened and matured into something so much bigger than it was in the beginning. And so much more rewarding and so much better, but it's not the same.
No.
You're not always going to feel like you did on your honeymoon.
No.
That doesn't mean it's going to get worse, but
It changes.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for the change.
And I think that when we start to get into that phase where we start to realize that the love is different, the relationship's different, the people, you and your spouse, are different, is when those thoughts and those feelings and those wonders and those comparing that all starts to creep in and kind of taint your marriage.
Well, you're on a slippery slope where you could start to become disillusioned because you were used to it going one way and it starts to go slightly different, and you're wondering if it's going to get better or it's going to get worse or what's going to happen. So understand that we're all going to grow and change, and our marriage is going to grow and change, and our love is going to grow and change. And part of the beauty of having a long-lasting relationship is experiencing all those things with someone else, not becoming disillusioned and looking for something better or what's perceived as better, and understand that your marriage is your own. It's not like anybody else's, and it shouldn't be like anyone else's, and it probably is never going to be like anyone else's. It's yours, and you've got to grow what you have, not try to steal what somebody else has.
Well, and think of it this way. In most of what we do in life, we want something unique. We want something different. We don't want to have the same thing as everybody else. That should be your marriage too. You should want a unique and different marriage. You shouldn't want a marriage like everybody else does, because then that would mean that if all marriages are pretty much the same and everything worked the same, then there would be nothing special about you or your spouse. we would all be cookie cutter Stepford people, all living the same life, doing the same things. And that's so boring.
I agree.
So embrace the uniqueness.
And
be
that's
different.
and that's coming from a boring person.
And you know what?
Me, not her.
You know what? Is what you think might be not such a great marriage and could use some improvement. There is someone looking at you and your spouse thinking, God, I wish I was like them.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy that and relish in it, because you have something special. You have something unique. You have something somebody else wants, believe it or not. There are people who are looking at you and your spouse thinking, I want that. Embrace that. Love it. And love your uniqueness. Love your difference. Shine.
Like a diamond.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Like diamonds in the sky.
So
And we can squeeze in a few more song references.
we could. Right before we started recording the podcast, I broke out into the Red Hot Chili Peppers song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt like she didn't have a partner.
I did. I was setting up for the podcast and I just kept singing, I don't ever want to feel that way.
You know, we sing that at work when the guy we're supposed to be working with isn't pulling his end. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner.
That's what I was singing as I was setting up the podcast.
But you do. I'm right here. Don't think that you want something better.
I didn't.
You'll get something better, but it'll be me as I grow.
I think I broke the glass in the windows when I started singing because I got to the top of
Oh
my
my
lungs. And I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. See?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
We're off the rails.
All right. Let's get back on track.
Yeah, bringing it back.
Someone's going to hear me singing and be like, I got to sign her. Not. So, I have a task for you guys this week.
Homework? What?
Yeah. It's going to be fun, though.
Oh, okay.
So, I want you guys this week to really focus on accepting your spouse. Accept their qualities, accept their flaws, accept that they're different, accept that they're not you, and embrace that. The other thing that I want you guys to do this week is anytime that you have a thought that you think is abnormal, a thought that you think that nobody else has, I want you to realize that it is normal and other people do have that thought, and you don't need to take your thoughts so seriously and allow it to just pass and move on.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do that.
You don't already do that?
I do that every day.
Uh-huh.
Do you?
I do.
You do?
I do quite often. Yeah. When you're going so slow.
Oh, you have time?
And he does this thing where he gets sidetracked. Oh my God, you guys, it's so funny because my son does it too. And so I think it's a genetic thing. And he'll just stand there staring at something, playing with his earlobe. And it's kind of creepy and kind of weird. But he'll just stand there like for minutes on end, just staring at a space or the TV or the wall, just playing with his earlobe. And my son does that too.
Sean's not here right now.
What? Dude, that was so creepy.
I know, wasn't it? By the way, if you're having thoughts of like murdering people, that's not normal.
No,
you need to seek help.
We're talking about thoughts about your marriage and
Yeah.
yeah.
Just wanted to clarify. Mm-hmm. Some murderer at home going, oh, they're normal, thank God. That's not normal. Seek help.
No. So where I was going with the whole earlobe thing is like when I get annoyed that we're supposed to be like rushing to get ready to get out of the house or do something and you're just standing there playing with your earlobe. I'm just like, okay. He's feeling overwhelmed right now, sensory overload. This is his way of calming down, and I'm just going to kind of let him play with his earlobe and stare at the wall, so creepy-like, and go do my own thing. So yes, I do quite often.
What do you think our audience thinks of me?
I have no idea.
Maybe we could get some feedback about that.
Dude, I am not perfect. I'm sure that they have their thoughts about me, too.
She's perfect, ladies and gentlemen.
The guys are like, dude, I don't know how you're married to her. She's weird.
No. People are sitting there wishing that they had what we had, remember? You said that we're unique and somebody out there wants what we have. They can have our kids.
So that's your guys' task for this week, is accept your spouse for who they are and that they're different, embrace their qualities and their faults, and allow those thoughts to just pass. You don't need to contemplate them. You don't need to try and figure them out. Trust that everybody has those thoughts and let it go.
Let them fly through your head like little butterflies.
Oh, and I also want you guys to love your unique, beautiful marriage just the way it is. I would love to hear some feedback on how you guys accomplished that, the ways that you guys did it, and how it worked for you.
Oh, yeah, let us know.
Yeah. We got an email from one of our listeners last week about some of the tips that they took from our episodes and how much they are loving the content and the advice. And I love hearing from you guys. Sean and I also want to thank all our listeners because last week we found out that we were in the top 10% of podcast globally, worldwide. There's 1,162,000 and something podcasts around the world. And we are the top 10%. That is so awesome. Thank you guys. We really do love all of our listeners.
Yeah, thank you to everybody out there across the world. And I think this just goes to show that marriage is a universal thing worldwide, and people struggle with it all over the world, just like we talk about.
Yeah. So again, your thoughts are normal.
No matter what country you're in.
Yeah. Speaking of countries, we want to give a shout out to our top countries, the United States.
And we also want to give a shout out to our second biggest market, which is India.
So thank you guys for listening. We're glad that you're joining us.
And we'll give a shout out to Australia too, because they're moving up.
Yes, they are. They're our third biggest country.
And our neighbors to the north, Canada.
Yes, Canada has also become a big listener base. So we just want to welcome you guys and thank you for listening. We, again, love hearing from you guys. So please do hop on social media, hop onto the website, sign up for the email, keep in contact with us.
And it's really cool to hear from people from other parts of the world because we like to know what marriage is all about there and what are the similarities and differences and how we're reaching you no matter where you are.
Yeah, or things that you might want us to talk about. Please feel free to reach out to us and tell us there's something that you'd like us to talk about, something you're struggling with in your marriage or even with yourself, because we do talk about ourselves, we talk about parenting, we talk about marriage. So no matter where you are, feel free to reach out to us. We're here for you. This is why we do what we do, is we want marriages worldwide to be successful.
Yes, we do.
We hope you guys have a fabulous week.
And do your homework.
And we will see you later.
This has been The Confident Marriage. I'm your host, Sean.
And I'm your host, Jessica.
Have a good week, everybody.